Hello, everyone. It's Nicole and Love Infinity, and we are coming to you live. Positive impact, more positive impact today that we're excited to share and kind of explore with you. I was just talking to Love about what turns you on.
Well, wait, before we get started, today is a very exciting day. You have 3 sons. I have my 2 sons. Hopefully I get to save my three sons someday. Excuse me. Football starts tonight.
Yay! Woohoo!
I'm waiting for a call from both my boys to help me pick out my teams for the year because I'm doing a fantasy football league.
I'm so happy that football is happening. I didn't think anything was happening because I'm kind of out of that loop, the sports loop, you know?
No, but there's a lot going on. There's hockey and baseball and basketball. And right now, all of our Tampa Bay teams, I'm very excited because we got Tom Brady this year. And I literally just saw him Friday when I hurt myself. I saw him and his gorgeous wife at Nordstrom's. They were shopping.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a famous volleyball player.
That's awesome.
And I wanted to say something to them so badly because when I own the Yoga Wellness Center, we have our 30-minute yoga boxes, and the men and people were getting a little bored of the 28 videos that we already had, and they wanted to do band exercise, and Tom Brady made band exercise really popular. I mean, I know they've been around for years, but all of that said, I wanted to just thank him for inspiring that, and
that's awesome.
Welcome to Tampa.
Yay! That's awesome.
For football season.
Yay! You know, I wish I could get that excited about sports. I think it's great. And I have friends that are wholeheartedly into sports and they're very excited about it. We do watch some football.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? They're scientists, they're artists, they're business mind. You know, like they like some sports, and especially watching like the Super Bowl, they love that part of it. But most of them don't really, engage in too much sports. I think my oldest played a lot of lacrosse, and he broke 3 metatarsals in his hand trying to defend someone. So after that, we kind of like lost interest. I was like, yeah, no, this is too dangerous.
You know, I love lacrosse though. It's my son Charlie played that, and I loved going to the games. I mean, they're both wrestlers too, and well, they were all around into athletics. And I think part of that is because I worked for Sports Illustrated, and they thought that if they played every sport that I would be home more and stay and watch them.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's a lot. It's a lot to have the boys in all the sports or in any sports because it's a big dedication and forget your weekends. I mean,
well, that's exactly right. And I had 3. So the 2 older boys would be in one soccer team or one baseball team or one lacrosse team. And then I had the other guy who was just starting out, who was like in the Pee-wee leagues, and, you know, and I was literally like mapping out my day from one field to the next to the next. And I gave it all to my husband. And I'm like, here, you take this, because this is driving me nuts. It is a huge, especially lacrosse. There's something about lacrosse that like is a much bigger commitment than any of the other sports we ever were involved with. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I know. And I couldn't wait for them to get in the same team because I was running across the fields, missing everything. So finally I said, I have to take turns. I'm going to your game today, his game. That
was probably smart.
I was missing everything because I was running. Their teams weren't playing next to each other. They would be all the way across on the 10th, 13th field over there. And I'm like, I'm getting good exercise, but I'm missing everything. So
yeah, exactly. You know, it's so funny you said that because I did find like one woman I was working with, she had a lot of kids in sports. And one of the things that she was saying, she's like, I don't have time to work out because I'm always at a practice or I'm always at a game. And I said, you know, it's important though, and your children will understand, and it's a good example to know that yes, mom is there, but then mom also has to make, you know, time for herself, and that it's not, I think that's the misconception that if we miss one thing, that we don't care, you know, and that's so not true. If you're a mom, you know, how difficult it is, you know, to make sure everyone's happy, and you're never going to win if you try to make everyone happy.
Yeah. And God forbid you're late picking them up from school.
Oh, heaven forbid. But that's one of the things. I used to work in television, and I think it was Penn of Penn and Teller, whichever one talks. He said, "You're trying to make everyone happy, aren't you?" Because I was working in wardrobe at the time at UPN 9 WOR back then in New Jersey, and he said, he goes, "You're trying to make everyone happy, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah. Well, that's my goal. That's my job." And he goes,
"Can you tell by how unhappy I am?"
He goes, "You will fail." And I was like crushed. I was like so diminished. I was like, I will not fail. I'm going to make all these people, all this talent happy, you know?
Yeah, it makes you want to work harder then. That was reverse psychology. He was getting you to work harder.
Oh, it was just his way of, you know, that was his way. It was his personality. But, you know, it was just a very interesting time of life. And for the most part, I was able to make everyone happy, but then that can be very difficult as well. You know, just like in your whole life, like you know, I think about how much time and effort mothers spend making other people happy. And no one really is thinking about like, what turns you on, mom? You know, what makes you happy as a wife or a mother or, you know, a creator? Maybe you're, you know, like I am in the depths of writing a book, and I'm figuring out, you know, what's important, what isn't important.
Yeah, but you know, a little gratitude goes a long way too. A thank you once in a while. Anybody listening that has a mother or a father, just say thank you once in a while.
Just say thank you.
We say thank you to you all the time.
All the time. All the time. Gratitude, and as my brother would say, gratitude and people are where it's at. You know, reconnect with those people that you love so much and be with them.
Yeah.
But that being said, we're talking about what turns you on today. So when I said this though to Love Infinity, her eyes went wide.
Wow.
So I'll break it down for you if you're listening at home. It's one of or of the other. It's up to you. Out of your mind, body, and soul, what turns your mind on? Have you thought about that? And what turns your body on? And have you thought about that? And that doesn't necessarily mean sexually. Maybe it's just joy. You know, you just want to carry joy in your body. And then what turns your soul on? You know, what gives you so much joy? And we have experienced firsthand Love Infinity's sense of joy in terms of spiritual connection. And it's so exciting. It's so beautiful. And it's so inspirational. Yeah. But what turns your mind on? I'm curious.
So my mind, I can tell you what turns my soul on: love, witnessing love, experiencing love, giving love. So my mind, what turns my mind on? Learning and growing in all and every ways, especially the more gentle ways that I learn and grow. That turns my mind on. I love learning new things every day. Like there's a show on Gaia that I love. It's called Initiation. And
is that with the channel?
It's so interesting, yeah, because he's had many lives, and he talks about the Akashic records, and
the Akashic records.
Since I've met my guardian angel, I love learning about angels, and just learning and growing in general, and learning about myself and others. Really turns me on. How about you? What turns your mind on, Nicole?
You know, it really is how we grow, develop, evolve, and change. And I you know, my family thinks I'm nuts because I literally live, eat, and breathe the mind-body connection day in, day out. I'm reading about it. I have, I don't know, over like 200 books about the mind-body connection, how we learn, how we process what your soul is saying in your body and your mind. And it's exciting for me to also channel information about that connection, because these are things that we don't really think about, but they're there and they were implanted in us. I think that's part of what turns me on mentally, is discovering that we have already been implanted with the perfect solution to everything. And I know that people say that all the time, you know, like, but it's usually on a very conscious level. But when you like delve a little deeper and you start to do some soul searching literally within your cells, that's where it gets really exciting.
Yeah.
That really turns me on. You know, that's
when
like,
you have those aha moments when you remember what you remember, our purpose.
well, and you know, oh, and this is the other thing that turns me on. I recently, I don't know if you have ever heard of this artist. His name is Francis and the Lights. Have you ever heard of him?
No, but I like the sound of it.
Right. So, Francis and the Lights.
And the Lights. Okay.
Yeah, I'll put his name up here on the comments in a moment. But I'm always looking for great workout music. You know, that's like my passion. And I stumbled across Silk City. I love Dua Lipa, but I stumbled across Silk City and I got really stoked about it. And then I listened to a couple of other mixes that they did. And one of them was called Especially for You. I forget which volume it was, but I'm, you know, huffing it out. I'm pumping on my elliptical and I'm working really hard. And then all of a sudden I hear this song and it stopped me in my tracks and tears started rushing down my face. I was just in awe because it brought back the memory of this dream I had last summer. And it was about how I used to, on the other side, I would create with light. I would literally like take strands of light and create things with it. It was so easy. It was so effortless. And then I woke up crying because in comparison on the earth, everything is so dense. You know, if you're painting something, you have to find the right color and then you have to mix it. And then you have to, oh, did I gesso the canvas? Did I, you know, there's so many steps involved. And yet on the other side, it's so effortless. It's so easy. So I was like crying over that. And this song was called My City's Gone. And I lost it. It was like, he knew exactly what I was experiencing in that lifetime, you know, and creating with light. And then I found out his name, Francis and the Lights. And I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. So I went on his website and I found a lot of other beautiful music that he does. And one was in I guess a church. It was like a gospel song that an entire choir joined in. And it just, again, I was like dissolved in tears. I was just, but that turns me on, you know, it's like a good thing because, you know, God's involved when your heart is that open. But, and that's what I felt. I felt like everyone's voice carried God in it. It was like just incredibly beautiful and moving. So anyway, that turns me on. Finding new music, finding the secrets of your soul and how God is moving through you. And that's very exciting to me. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. That's how I feel about you too. Some songs. And I also love that when a song stops you in your place and you really resonate and are touched with the words.
Yeah.
It's a message from God.
One of the verses was, there was a spirit so young and so free. It touched you and it touched me. And I was like, oh, what a beautiful thing to say, you know. And the one he sang in the church was God use me, which another, you know, I don't want to sound, I'm not religious. I'm not super religious, but I do believe God embeds his gifts in us. And I think that's up to us to kind of communicate and provide, you know, inspiration for other people and to use those gifts. But it was just really moving. So, all right, moving on to the next topic, which is what turns your body on? Like, what do you love?
Oh, I love being sore from working out.
Yeah. Sore from working out is a good one. I love it.
I also really enjoy orgasms.
Yes, exactly. Let's go there. Shall we go there?
Whoa, okay. This is a day of deep conversations because my podcast right before you, I got intimate and vulnerable. And here I go again. Whoa.
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. Of course, I'm okay. I'm great.
What did you talk about last time?
Love and intimacy and trust. So, yeah. So what turns our bodies on? How about you?
Well, you know, I will say it was like a revelation to me because I'd always been like, especially if like I'm talking sexually, I'd always been involved or interested in making them happy. Like that was the goal. And it never occurred to me that I might have a goal of my own. You know what I mean? And that was like years ago. But then when I figured that out, and then I had heard on it was like a soundbite from some movie that I think it was a soundbite from a movie that this African American grandmother was talking to her, or not grandmother, mother was talking to her daughter and saying, make sure you get your orgasm. You deserve it. And it's your right. Every day you should be able to get your orgasm. And I just was like, what? Really? I could do that every day?
Yeah, wow. What a concept.
It was weird. It was just, and these are things we don't really talk about, but that's what's so important about these kinds of podcasts, is that they uncover these truths. And, if you're focused on generating your physical energy towards a spiritual pursuit, like raising Kundalini and opening the third eye, all that, I get it. That's fine. And that's great. And there are times in your life where that's completely appropriate. But I just love the fact that, we are, we're whole. We can't dispose of one part of ourselves and hope to live a healthy, happy life, fulfilled life, So I think reminders like that were really important. So if you are out there needing a reminder that you need an orgasm every day, there you go.
Yeah. You know what I really, really desire? I've never experienced it, and I might not be saying it properly, but Karma Sutra. Oh. It's an Indian thing where you do different postures, and apparently you flow like a waterfall, like orgasm after orgasm, like multiple. And men are envious of women because we can have multiples, and they are not able to have multiple like we are. We have them in and out.
There's
and
a delay for
all
them.
around.
That's all. Yeah. They can have multiple, but it's delayed.
But usually it goes away right after. And we have no comments today. Like we had
nothing. We had so many last time. But you know what, too? I think we kind of messed people up a little bit, because I did say we'd come back Tuesday at 3 p.m. And we neither Love nor I had the time. We were both struggling with other things. So was that's what happened that day?
Well, yeah. Well, it happened on Friday, but I rested as much as possible over the weekend, and being a holiday weekend, it sounds like blah, blah, blah excuses. I really didn't take care of it properly. And so Monday and Tuesday, I pretty much laid and rested, because sleep heals everything. I tried to sleep. I watched this silly show called Private Practice. It makes me cry. So I'm basically icing all day watching this show that makes me cry.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
I gave myself permission to just chill and.
Right. And I truthfully have felt the same way, not because I'm injured, but like the last 2 weeks, I just want to say it's not a lack of motivation. It's like, I know something else is coming and I want to be prepared for it. In order to do that, I have to take care of myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I was, doing that. But let's ask if you at home have any thoughts or ideas, and feel free to share with us whatever they are. If you have any thoughts or ideas about what turns you on, mind, body, or spirit.
So what is the proper term for? It's in the Tantra family. So, and I was on a podcast with a guy, and he's going to be a regular Thursday at 11 a.m. He's a polyamorous guy. And he educates people on the difference between polyam and molyam and and swinging and all kinds of sexual things out there, trisexual.
And you're like, oh, really?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm learning a lot from him. That said, I definitely am into monogamy. I believe in one-on-one and having true, intimate one-on-one, because I don't think I've ever really done that. I mean, I've had intimacy and romance and true best friend intimacy. Yeah.
And I don't know, it's hard, I think, for people to grasp that thought of true intimacy, even if it's I think it's very hard for people to grasp that there are different levels of a relationship, you know, as you grow together. And that is really interesting. I've met a lot of people that they say they're in a relationship, but they're not really intimate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And it
codependent.
Yeah.
That one of my favorite books. I love this book, and any chance I get, I have so many things to listen to right now and read and get through, is Conscious Love. That and nonviolent communication. Conscious Love, they talk about, it's a therapist. They've done years and years of therapy with different couples and found out why they don't have true intimacy or consciousness.
Right.
It's about being conscious too.
Yes.
That turns me on. Being conscious and learning to be mindful, conscious, whatever the language you choose to use, being mindful and really being in the moment and present.
Yeah.
There's magic to it.
Yeah, there is a magic to that. It's a freeing up also, but it's like, if you've never been taught that, that's really hard to get, you know, that's really hard to understand. And we got a love marker.
I love hearts.
I love hearts too. I love love. I think it's really hard for people to understand what that level of intimacy entails, because we're such a superficial society, you know, like we're all about like what it is on the outside, but do we know how to touch each other? Do we know how to, and getting back to that, not just orgasms, but, you know, a really heartfelt massage just
I love that.
Melts me. That's a big turn on.
Yeah. The way to my heart is through my feet.
Yeah.
I love a really good foot rub. And I just massage too, but more on my feet.
I just the other night just massaged my husband's hands, you know, just like absent-mindedly. I was just, you know, tracing the fingers and massaging, and while we were watching TV, and that totally changed the picture that night. That was like a whole, you know, interesting
game
moment because it was an erogenous zone, but he never considered it to be before. You know, like your hands are definitely used for work, and that's the association. But just doing that kind of shifted the perspective entirely and turned it into a romantic evening. So that was an interesting moment for me.
Ooh la la, that's a good tip. So when my parents would drag me to church, the Baptist church back then, and the Catholic, my dad was Catholic, my mom Baptist. So as much as I love church, and I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, and I love learning about God and everything, we would sit there and tickle each other's hands, me and my brothers, and arms, and we'd fall asleep in church.
Aww.
So I still relate being tickled like that in your hand, and play the spider. Remember the spider web thing where you go round and round and on the fingers, and then you pull it up and you could feel like.
Oh my goodness. No, I've never heard of that. Go ahead. Tell us how to do it. I've never heard of it before.
It's the spider game. You go round and round, and you go down each finger, and you go round and round and round, and then you pull up, and it feels like something's being pulled up like glue off your finger. Like,
interesting. That's the energy of it. Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, the things we do when we're children and bored or something.
I love that. I can remember standing in a door jam and pushing the outsides of your hands against the door jam as hard as you could for like 5 minutes, and then you walk out of the door jam and your arms just naturally float up.
There's the cutest birds playing all morning outside of my house, there are blue jays, bluebirds. I have so many beautiful kinds of birds out there playing. It's very fun.
It's a sign. It's a sign.
Yeah, everything's a sign, right?
So, and that's the other thing that I think is a turn on is play, like any kind of play, just playing with, not, like,
silly.
Yeah, just playing and being silly. And I don't know, like I used to finger paint with my sons, and even today I'll just like, just start spreading paint all over a canvas and just, fooling around like that. I love dancing. I love all of that. That's very
dancing is so fun. I love dancing. Even with my bum knee, I was dancing on one leg today, getting ready.
Yeah, I think it's important because it's a joyful expression that's God given to us. Like we can use it anytime we want. I had someone send me a little post today on a text about I'm going to choose to find the positive in today. I'm going to choose to find the good times. I'm going to choose to remember the love and the joy and the sunshine and the family gatherings that I really, loved being in. All of that. I'm going to find things that make me happy today. And I just thought, yeah, that's how every day should be. Every day should be that
it's
way.
all a choice. Yeah. Like the last 2 days or whatever. Yesterday was Wednesday, right? This week has kind of thrown me off with it being a holiday on Monday.
I know.
And it didn't really feel like, actually, it was kind of weird because I was like, what is Labor Day? A day of taking off work from labor? Or
yeah, I don't, and people have said that it's not a happy, like you don't, Veterans Day and Labor Day, it's not like, like, yay, woohoo,
Christmas time, birthday time.
Right. It's a different sentiment. It's a, moment of reflection and respect, I think. But Labor Day this year came really, really late. And actually my parents' anniversary is tomorrow, which is 9/11. And yeah, thank you.
How many years?
Well, they've both passed. So it's, what would it be? I'd have to ask my sister. I actually don't know. It's been so long. But they were the most in love couple I have ever known to date.
Aww.
Like,
that's so sweet. I love that. Oh, what's their love story? I love love stories.
Yeah, it was the most amazing. My mother was 19 when she met excuse me. She was 16 when she met my father, I think. No, 13. Excuse me. It's much earlier, 13. And they didn't marry until she was 19. But it was like, she had come from a very difficult set of circumstances as a child. And my father was the only child from French immigrants, and they were very strict, so anyway, they found each other, and they had a pact with each other. They had an agreement with each other, and they had similar values. They wanted to raise a family in the country, and they were always there for each other. But beyond that, they had this amazing attraction for each other. Even if my father was sick in the hospital and was, Parkinson's had frozen up every part of his body, my mother would walk in the room and his eyes would follow her until, she was right. He was so in love with her the whole time. And he was the artist that drew all the nudes. I had nudes up all over my house, and we would look at his portfolios and things like that. He was a very, very emotionally connected, very feminine, the feminine side, very connected in him. And I think that really helped their relationship. I think it was a really beautiful relationship they had.
Wow.
And, so supportive of each other. And, they had their fights and whatnot, but ultimately it was so cool to turn, like, you'd be sitting watching TV in the living room, and then you'd turn around and see them like hugging and kissing, and you're, as a kid, you're like, oh my God, here it goes. But in retrospect, I was like,
it taught you love. And that's a beautiful thing. Not a lot of people can say that about their parents or their life. I mean,
and that's when my father passed over. He did come back in a channeled session with me, and he said, you don't know how good you had it, with your mother and I being there. And that's what I see in the psychic readings that I give now for my personal training clients. What I'm seeing is a lot of hurt and pain and trauma or abuse even.
And that's
from
why people don't, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's why people don't learn intimacy.
Yes.
They learn and they think that love is fighting and putting up with shit and hating each other and talking about each other and talking,
what people are missing though is that although your needs are specific and important, and that's not to say they're not, it is really important to provide children with really stable, balanced mother and father energy. And we grow up through our feet. So very often I'll look at someone's legs and I can see, like, oh, you have an issue in your left femur or your right hip. And it relates to how you grew and developed in your relationship with your mother or father growing up. So when I see that, I think to myself, all these families I know that had, maybe very rightly gotten divorced, I ponder and I wonder if they're still able to provide effective, balanced mother and father energy in the relationship, and that there's no animosity, that there's nothing but love and consideration and respect for each other. And that's what I'm seeing is like kids, when we're children, like even 30, 40, and 50-year-olds I give readings to now, they suffer emotional imbalance, but it's also presented physically in the body, so it'll show up as hip problems, low back problems, knee problems, ankle problems. And I worry that we are perpetuating this trauma experience over and over and over again. So we go from parents who had a divorce and we dive into a relationship that isn't right for us because we need love and attention and we need that support. But even, coming from that place of imbalance, we're going into another place of imbalance. So are we perpetuating this? Are we, making this like a longer living timeline than it needs to be? So anyway, that's just
I'm so glad you brought that up too, because that is something that I've been wanting to talk about. Because, the world is challenging enough for us. We are here for a purpose. And one of those things is to learn and grow. So that is another turn on for me is let's complement each other, not complicate each other.
Right.
And that is one of my dream come true, something that turns me on, to complement one another, not complicate each other. We have enough stuff to learn and grow, easy or hard or whatever. There's enough horrific things for us to learn from, just like that,
And I think a lot of it is bound in, especially if you're having difficulty in relationships. I see a lot of manipulation in terms of not like, I didn't get my way, so now you must suffer. That kind of, mentality.
Right,
and it's
wrong. You're wrong.
Right.
I'm right.
Right, exactly. Instead of like being respectful and saying, what's the most amicable way we can work at this so that our child has the benefits of both of our love,
Right, because when you hurt the other parent, you're hurting the child more than you're hurting that. I mean, God bless my former husband. He doesn't even realize he screams at them and yells and says terrible things to them about me. And he's really hurting them because they are half of me. And they are half of him.
And so, what's sad is that your ex was probably raised with a crappy father relationship as well. He probably.
That was great. I think the mom was a little rougher because she's a little Italian woman that did, had 6 kids, had she was OCD clean.
Oh, yeah.
And was scrubbing the floor instead of playing them. The dad would be outside playing football with them. And, always.
That's awesome. That was something that my mom said a long time ago. She said, if you walk into someone's house and it's, spick and span, perfect, then there's something wrong with the kids. The kids aren't getting enough attention. The kids aren't getting enough attention.
There might be some truth to that.
So it was kind of funny, it's like, where are you putting your attention? I say this all the time. People are always like, oh, thank God my kids are gone to camp over the summer. Oh, thank God. And I'm like, I wanted these kids. I wanted to be with them. I wanted to play with them. I wanted to, do artwork and listen to them talk and watch them play together. And I wanted that.
Yeah.
I didn't have them, so I could push them away again.
Yeah.
I had them because I wanted them. But
me too. I miss my boys so badly.
I
I've
thought-
blown up both of their phones today.
I thought Charlie was coming back.
No, he's still in Michigan. He's got school, even though he's not going back this semester because they're not in class. I definitely want him to go to Florida State because I just see him there. And David got a new job, and he's planning his wedding and stuff. So no, they.
Oh my God, that's right. How is that all going?
It's supposed to be down here this coming weekend. This one coming up, not the past weekend, because I was going to do their engagement photos, but they're because he got a new job, they're delaying it a little bit. So.
Well, that's probably good, though, don't you think? Give him a little more time, I think.
Yeah. I look forward to doing the photo shoot, though. Yeah. And I also look forward to my knee. So, body, what does the left knee represent? Why am I doing myself? So,
you may not be getting enough support in female relationships for what you want to accomplish and do. I think you have a lot of female friends. And it could also mean that, you have to accept some circumstances around what you want to do. And that's hard for you to accept. So you got to take a look at so I'm just feeling like there's two women in your life that probably are telling you to your face they're very receptive and very supportive, but they're actually not. So just be aware of that moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And so this is bringing up a little insecurity about something that you did kind of grow up with in your own mother relationship, and it's kind of showing you its face again so that you can resolve it. And part of that is nurturing yourself and listening to yourself, and not so much being available and listening to everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Owning your own opinion and being solid in that opinion instead of shifting your opinion to make sure that someone else feels okay with you. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Does that make sense to you?
It does. Yeah, it does. It really does.
Okay.
Trusting myself completely and totally.
Yes. And that your opinion is more important than anyone's right now,
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what turns us on spiritually?
Yeah. Spiritually, definitely when I go to heaven in my sleep and when angels are working with me and I remember my truth and my divinity and I see it in others. And I love seeing and hearing angels' voices and connecting with Ashtar or one of the holy masters or Jesus and hearing the message and feeling it, living it.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I think I told you just before I was writing the last chapter or the outline for the last chapter of a book I'm writing about your mind, body, and your soul and your weight loss process. And the last chapter was about God's intention for us, moving forward, because our nation, I think, is suffering. It's suffering from over 40% of the entire population is obese. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
I feel funky right now. My favorite jeans aren't fitting. I was going to cut them off to shorts. Bummer. Well, they're calling it the COVID-10 or the COVID-20. And I'm like,
Yeah, I hear that a lot. But this, our obesity issue happened way before COVID. I mean, it's still happening and the numbers are growing and increasing. And I asked God, I'm like, you know, God, this is the last chapter and it's about your vision for us. Like, what can I say that's different? And I had my hands on the keyboard, I had my glasses on, and I asked that, and I immediately got the flow of God through my body. My head went back and I started crying and I just started typing. And I was typing and typing and typing and typing. My eyes were closed like I would, you know, in a psychic reading or another channeled session. But I'm typing and I'm typing, and I finally there was so much things, you know, dripping from my nose and my face that I had to grab a tissue. And when I got up to grab a tissue and I wiped my face, I realized it was all in a bright blue and it was all underlined. I hadn't touched any
Oh my
font.
God, I got the God bump. So good.
Yeah, I hadn't touched any font. I didn't touch underline, nothing. I didn't touch anything. I just started typing and boom. And all of this, like a page and a half of God's will on, you know, my computer. And that was, you know, it was a healing. It was a healing, I hope, for a lot of people, because he talks about, you know, I've never abandoned you. I'm always here. And these are just pathways back to me. If I hadn't given you these moments to reflect, or the suffering, if I hadn't given you opportunities to experience this, you could have been lost to me forever. And I was like, I like crying. Oh my God, the tears! Like my shirt was wet. Everything, my hair was wet.
So powerful. That's so good. We're getting some comments, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Xander, Shay, hi Xander, and hi Victoria.
Hi Victoria. We lost
Xander.
Circadian rhythm. Oh well, yeah. I mean, so Victoria, you're honing in on like one aspect, and the book is going to cover a variety of things, and you are going to actually learn a lot. Victoria is doing part of my study with me. I've asked for volunteers, and Xander, I'm going to get back to you in a minute, but I've asked for volunteers to join me in a study that I'm doing about a new therapeutic treatment for weight loss, and you'd meet with me twice a week. I'm still looking for a few people. I sent some emails out. But you'd meet with me twice a week online for an alteration of the subconscious field and the superconscious, allowing God to influence the subconscious field for purposes like this, for weight loss. But in that process, I'll track you over 6 weeks and see what your weight loss has been. And if we are looking at something that's even more long-term, did you keep the weight off for a year, 2 years, etc. So it's a study that I'm going to be starting September 14th. That's coming up rather quickly. And Victoria's going to be a part of it. And I think we're going to address a lot more than just weight loss in that process, because so much of our health and well-being, as you know, most of you who are following a channel like this or a podcast like this, they understand the importance of how our mind works in our body. And that's what I'm trying to illuminate for people. But Xander, what are your spiritual gifts? So I'm looking at, I do feel like there's a lot of energy in the throat chakra. Xander, do you write or do you sing at all? Is there some vibration that you find fascinating or enjoy expressing? Think about that for a moment.
Kundalini there.
Huh?
Kundalini is.
Yeah. Well, the Kundalini runs throughout the entire spinal column. It hits every power center. But this is the thing, you know, God's given us these power centers so we can address and that we can share our gifts. So I see a lot around the throat chakra, but I also see a lot in the heart chakra as well. So there's definitely heart chakra, throat chakra. There is something burgeoning too, as a side note, Xander, that you might avail yourself of. Right now, it's just a very hint of an idea, but I feel like you have an opportunity to kind of grow and develop this idea, and it becomes a side business for you, if that makes any kind of sense to you. But it has to do with vibrational creation. So think about that. And Victoria, circadian rhythms absolutely have something to do with weight loss, but not everything. And, you know, sleep obviously has a lot to do with weight loss. But when we start to get older, or when we change the dynamics, or if we're drinking too much, or if we're not eating the right foods, that can also affect circadian rhythm. I also notice a definitive change in sleep patterns and circadian rhythms, especially with a full moon. I don't know if you've ever noticed that yourself. But when there's a full moon, I simply don't sleep. It's like spirits talking to me all
me
night
too. I
long.
Full moon. Oof.
I connect.
How?
Mm-hmm.
So I only have 2 minutes before I have to get on another podcast
What?
with Justin.
This is just too much fun.
Too much.
All right.
Always.
Well, thank you. Tell Justin I said hi and we love him.
I will. I love
He
you
still
guys.
hasn't.
I love all of our listeners. We love and appreciate you. And thanks for your comments. We love all the comments.
So I'm going to respond to Xander. In the meantime, tell Justin he still hasn't gotten back to me about days and times he's available to work.
Okay, I will.
His stuff. Okay.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to say goodbye to Love, and I'm just going to type in a couple of thoughts here for Xander.
Okay, 1 minute. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you later.
I love you, sister. I love you guys. Bye-bye.
So Xander, I'm saying look to create with your voice, writing, or vision, because I do think you have gifts to share. Your spiritual gifts are wrapped up in those energy centers, the throat chakra, the heart chakra. Like I said, I would look at things that give you joy, but I do feel like you could easily create out of light and vibrations. So think about those things. And thank you, Victoria, for adding your comment about circadian rhythms. We're going to wrap this up. And I hope I answered everyone's questions effectively. And we'll see you next week. I believe Tuesday at 3 p.m. is still on. It was just that Love Infinity had hurt her knee, and I was going through a bunch of other stuff. But we will see you next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m. and then Thursday at 1 p.m. And also bring your questions for psychic answers, and feel free to email me at Nicole at mindbodymastery.org. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Nicole's MBM. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.